Hi everyone, Carolyn Peeler here, and I'm delighted to be with you at Ellen Hutson's classroom. This is my last visit with you before Christmas, and like many of you, my most pressing need is to get a whole bunch of holiday cards knocked out in the next couple weeks, so that's what I'm focusing today's video on. Today's card is very simple. When I initially started, I actually had a different vision for today's project, which is why you see the distress markers out here on my video. However, once I used this Tiny Trees die cut on some smooth white cardstock, I immediately my mind went in a different direction. And therefore, today's card is not going to be using the distress markers that are there. Instead, we're going to take a little piece of white cardstock. We're going to use these Tiny Trees dies, cut out whichever of the trees is your favorite. And we're going to put a film of vellum behind that. And that's what's going to create the Christmas tree on our card. Now, I did want to add a little bit of visual interest to this tree so that it wasn't just a plain die cut. And so from the Tiny Trees matching stamp set, I used the tiny little star and put it at the top of the tree. Then I'm using some of the Ranger Gold embossing powder, and I'm simply going to go ahead and emboss that star so that I've got a pretty shiny gold star at the top of my greeting card. So I'm heat embossing this with the Ranger heat tool. For the next step, we're going to go ahead and get the banner ready. We're using this Merry Christmas banner. It is also from this Tiny Trees stamp collection. So I went ahead and applied Versamark ink onto the stamp, then stamped it onto some smooth white cardstock, and then I'm using the same gold embossing powder that I used for the star on this banner. After tapping the excess off, you can go ahead and heat it up with your embossing gun so that you get that beautiful shiny gold embossed look, which is really so great for the holiday season. I mean, right now it's great anytime, especially as gold is such a big trend right now. But for the holiday season, shiny gold, whether it's foil, embossing powder, it's so great. The next step is you're going to go ahead and cut this out. I just freehand cut it. You're going to see me here at the beginning, and then it's going to fast forward to the end. It takes a little bit of time, but it's not that bad at all. Actually, fairly simple to go ahead and do that. So once you've got that cut out, and I left a tiny little bit of a white border around it. Now I'm going to assemble the card. So I've taken a piece of the aqua cardstock and then this beautiful flower. This is from the Juniper Berry 6x6 pad from Basic Gray. I'm going to put a contrast, this really pretty kind of woodlands paper down the left side of the card. Then I'm going to glue the vellum down and also glue down the little tree onto the card front. Now that aqua paper is also from the Juniper Berry pad, and it's cut to 4.25 inches by 5.5 inches, which is my card blank. There I was showing you could, instead of the vellum, you could put like a wood back there if you wanted to. It's up to you. I like the vellum, I like the softness. Now I'm going to take up to my sewing machine and add sewing around the white and down the border of that woodland paper. You can see I've done this sewing, and in a previous video I talked about using my card blanks. This is another occasion where I do it. So I have this faux card front, I sew on that, and then I go ahead and glue that onto a real card so that when the receiver opens up the card, they don't have this stitching line on the inside of their card that they see. Now I'm going ahead and I'm roughing up the edge of this white rectangle that my tree is die cut onto. I find that this adds just sort of a nice shabby chic look. I've done it with my fingernails. I'm also going to show you here how you can kind of do it with some scissors for those of you who don't, who keep your nails nice and short. It's totally possible to do it with scissors. It's actually easier to do it with scissors if you do this before you sew it or glue it on if you decide not to sew. So that's kind of a tip. If you're going to use scissors, then go ahead and do it before you glue down. The final step is we're going to go ahead and put on this banner. So I've already put some pop dots on it, and then I'm just going to stick it right at the bottom of that rectangle. So this is a very simple card, easily reproducible so that you can knock out a bunch of these in an evening. Just switch up that pattern paper, but your main design element of the tree can stay the same. As a final step, if you wanted to, you could go ahead and distress around the outside of the card. I'm just doing a very, very light distress, and this just sort of sets the border apart a little bit. It doesn't add a whole lot, just sort of that finishing touch to give a little bit of definition to the edges of the card. So that's why I chose to do it on this particular greeting card. And that's really all there is to it. So I thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you and your family have a wonderful holiday season, no matter what you celebrate. And I look forward to seeing you in the classroom in the new year. Bye for now.